Sunday, the 26th of January, 2024. This is a voice from the past from one of my main mentors at the Flint Center at De Anza College in Cupertino, California in the mid-1980s. Let's go. Okay. Yes, very
assignment that is just up ahead of us a little ways of being able to lead the people back to a constitutional system of government which we have literally abandoned. And I said, well, President, what did you have in mind? Well, he said, I want you to get some of those young people around you. He said, you know how important this is. This was your specialization. And you tell them how important these principles are and how we can teach them to other people and how we can start turning it back. It's going to take both of our political parties to do it. You teach them so that they'll get a feeling for it and an understanding of it. Well, I have been studying some of the Founding Fathers' writings for about 40 years and had been tremendously impressed with the fact that they had answers to nearly all our problems, and we really were off base on fundamentals. And I said, well, President, I think if the BYU wrote the curriculum and the church got behind it, it would really go. Oh, no, he said, it mustn't be a church program. That would limit its influence. He said, it shouldn't even be a BYU program. BYU can do what it wants to do, but this must be done for both parties and for all churches. It must be independent of any one church. I said, well, President, you've got to have some kind of a machine to work through. And he said, yes, you'd have to build one. I said, well, that's going to take a lot of money. And he said, yes, you'd have to raise some. I said, President, have you got any suggestions? And he said, yes. Just start. And the way will be opened up. Well, I want to tell you, I went back to BYU a very confused person. But I made up my mind I would study. I would see if I could start putting that original formula back. Why did the Lord say in the 98th section that when the founders finally got where they were in the Constitution as originally designed. There's a big argument in Washington today about original intent. Have you noticed that? Going on between Ed Meese and Justice Bremer? All right. The Lord said anything that is more or less than this is evil, which means that the founders discovered the center, the balanced center. On one side you have anarchy, over here you have tyranny, and the Founding Fathers found the combination just enough to provide justice and order and not enough to abuse the people without a remedy. It was ingenious. And God said anything that's more or less than this is evil. Well, what we did is to drift off center until we got a lot more. Today, America owes more money than all the rest of the countries of the world combined. Does that shock you? $2 trillion that we're going to pass on to our kids. I mean, they are born in debt. That's kind of taxation without representation, if you stop to think about it for a minute. And in any event, I really studied hard. Well, by 1971, I thought maybe I was about ready to start my little course. So I announced that we were going to have constitutional studies on Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon, beginning next Saturday. Isn't that an exciting announcement? Nobody came. And when I talked to some of my best friends about it, they said, that's important, boy. That Constitution, that's something we got to study one of these days. So a few of my students came first, but when they found out how exciting it was, they started to tell their parents. Next thing I knew, I was flying out each weekend to Arizona, Southern California, Idaho, somewhere, to teach their parents. And that's how it started. Very slow, very slow. And a lot of people disagreed with the Founding Fathers. They said, that's old-fashioned. You see, that was designed for a bunch of farmers living on the Atlantic seaboard 200 years ago, nearly. Founders said, no, we designed this Constitution for 200 million freemen spread across the whole North American continent to last forever. Well, if you haven't studied the Constitution, you might wonder how that could be. Well, it was very